Good day, everyone. I'm here to present about facilitating transformation in an online counseling class. This is to share with you my experience in the new way of teaching counseling. Knowledge is a function of being, and learning can be enriched if both reasoning and experience are practiced. Now, for the types of learning, there are 4 types. So number 1 is cumulative. Number 2 is assimilative. Number 3 is accommodative or transcendent. And number 4 is expansive and transpersonal. Or this study focused on the expansive and transpersonal level. This learning implies what could be termed personality changes or changes in the organization of self, and is characterized by simultaneous structuring in the cognitive, the emotional, and social societal dimensions. A break of orientation that typically occurs as the result of a crisis-like situation caused by challenges experienced as urgent and unavoidable, making it necessary to change oneself in order to get any further. As you can see with teaching counseling, this particular type of learning is the most appropriate because it entails transformation. So this is the approach done in the classes that I had in teaching counseling. So there are 3 attributes that release a growth-promoting climate for all the students. So number 1, we have the congruence or the genuineness or realness, unconditional positive regard, acceptance or caring, and accurate empathic understanding or deep understanding, an ability to grasp the subjective world of another person. Another framework that I use is that of Frankel's will to meaning. So Frankel argued that humans are characterized by a will to meaning, an innate drive to find meaning and significance in their lives, and that failure to achieve meaning results in psychological distress. The question that I ask, how do we facilitate transformation in an online class? And is transformative learning possible in a practical subject such as counseling, especially that we are in an online setting? So the first thing that I did was to connect with the learners. There are 4 methods that I use, or 4 mediums that I use to be able to connect with the learners. Number 1, we have this learning management system. Number 2, the synchronous sessions. Number 3, through emails and chat. And number 4, I also created a Facebook group to be able to be more connected with the students. So for number 1, a learning management system is necessary as I planned the learning sessions. But it is also important to be sensitive to the needs of the learners and adjust accordingly. Since counseling is a practical subject and the goal is to teach the skill to the learners, it is important to balance both synchronous and asynchronous sessions, with more emphasis on synchronous sessions in order to teach the necessary skills and for the learners to experience the therapeutic relationship. It is also important for the facilitator to be available through email and chat, as some learners are not comfortable sharing in large group or in the synchronous sessions. And lastly, a Facebook group was helpful to connect with the learner as the facilitator continues the learning session outside the synchronous sessions. Here, the learners can freely respond and share their thoughts related to the topics discussed in the synchronous sessions. So here are examples of the Facebook posts that I did in the Facebook group. So one particular example is I related to the subject about listening. So I posted a poem regarding listening, and somehow it connected to the learners. So the replies of the students are presented here. So for example, one student said, "The poem is beautiful po, Sir Arrive. It summarizes the concept of empathic listening in a simple pero poetic way. Another student said, "Ganda po ng tula, sir. Bakit ganon? Ang simple pero tagos sa puso." So these are ways for us as teachers or as professors to be able to connect more with our students. Now, how do we facilitate transformation in class, or more specifically in an online setting? So transformation, according to Broad, to transform is to make different. So Wilber has distinguished transformation, which he views as radical, vertical transcending of the self, from what he calls translation, a satisfying but less profound horizontal movement that involves a new way of thinking about the world. So this can be viewed in a systems theoretical way and can be seen to involve a shift in cognitive structure toward one that is characterized by greater inclusivity, flexibility, and interconnectivity, along with an increased awareness of these increased qualities. So these are some of the things that I did to be able to facilitate transformative learning. So we had experiential activities, spontaneous drawings. We also had dream works and meditation, written reflections, and the final output or the final project for the class is the individual online counseling project among the learners. So I assigned each student to be the client of their classmates, and also to be the counselor of one of their classmates. So here are the outputs. For example, for the spontaneous drawings, one student said, "I painted a person with white wisps curling around his body in a gray background. This is what I'm feeling for the past few weeks. I feel stuck in a limbo or a void. It feels empty, but at the same time, you feel the emotions weigh you down." Another output from one of the students, and the facilitator's response was, "What a lovely artwork. And I am happy for you that despite being the superwoman for everyone, you found the wisdom to take care of yourself. Remember that there are people who genuinely cares for you. I remember the words of Rumi, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself." Now, another method that I gave the class, or I introduced to the class, is the song reflection and the meditation. So I asked them to meditate on the song Beautiful Scars. So the assignment was to make a reflection paper for the song Beautiful Scars and relate it to the counselor as a person and professional, and to their own being as beginning counselors. One student said, "It was only last 19th of September this year when I first heard the song Beautiful Scars. I discovered it through my professor that I suggested it for a better understanding of the discussion that day. Hearing the title of the song already made me feel emotional and intensified when I got to listen to the lyrics. The song is a ray of sunshine for the soul. It is surprising how the little more than 3-minute song made me reminisce about all that I have experienced, how it felt to surpass the challenges, experience the sufferings, and solve my problems. Nearing to the end of the song, I already felt encouraged and empowered to be proud and comfortable of my beautiful scars." So this one is an output in the dream analysis that I gave to the students. And lastly, so the individual counseling project. These are some of the excerpts from their output. So one said, "Being able to be a counselor as a student was very helpful and pleasurable experience. It's more of an eye-opener rather than a training for me. So as I helped my counselee to solve her problem, I had acquired new skills and honed my previous ones." He continued, "Unraveling the mysterious and unlocking barricaded doors on your counselee's life, for me, was the most interesting part of the whole counseling experience." The student also said, "I was hesitant with this project at first because of my lack of skill and knowledge about counseling and talk therapy. which made me doubt myself if I can be of help to my counselee. So what are the outcomes and implications of the different methods that I used in counseling, and the means to be able to connect more with the students? So one student said, "Sir, good evening. I just want to thank you for giving a moral support to fight through this. I'm very grateful that I was given a chance para maging student nyo. Words will not be enough to actually describe kung gaano po kalaki yung naitulong nyo sa akin." So this is coming from one of the students who literally broke down in the class. So he's a working student, and he was a rider in one of the like Lazada or Shopee, and then the burden was so much that he just released his emotions to the class, and the class was so helpful, and I'm glad that he was able to also finish the course. And he decided to finish the course despite the difficulties of juggling both work and academics. Another student said, "Thank you so much po, sir, for allowing me to desire to open my body, soul, mind, and heart to the greatness of the world po. You made me want to have the reasons to see, feel, and understand the world around me in different perspectives. Of course, there's always fears and doubts, but willingness to heal and be genuinely happy are much stronger po this time. Just like what I said po before, intro to counseling for me is more than just a subject. I will never forget this experience po, and will let them be my guide and inspiration in my future endeavors. Thank you po for giving me a chance to have such a wonderful and great counselor and client po. People still do not have the ability to change their way of life significantly. However, their desire to change grows." One of the quotes that really touched me during your last discussion po. Luckily, I got the chance to save it in my notes and in my memory po. So going back to the question, how do we facilitate transformation in an online class? And is transformative learning possible in a practical subject such as counseling in an online setting? Of course, the obvious answer to both questions is a yes. Now, the implications, even in an online setting, learners are capable of responding beyond the usual ways of knowing, as espoused by conventional academic education, to a more in-depth realization of their personality, its unique existence and meaning in the bigger context of their life circumstances. Now, the methods such as the spontaneous drawings, dream works, reflections, and online counseling project were found to be reflective in developing the learner's desire to understand his personality and opening gateways towards growth. Although students have different ways of knowing, what was evidenced empirically was that the learner has the capacity to learn from the teacher within. So the inner wisdom when experience provided participants or the students with sought after essence of their life and its sense of meaning. Facilitating transformation as an essential component of teaching counseling helped not only deepen the concepts being learned, but also resulted in the students valuing and continuing growth, development, and healing. Respecting the learner's unique ways of being led to spontaneous positive transformations. Incorporating an experiential transpersonal orientation in teaching counseling more effectively fosters and serves the full range of human potentials and capabilities in students. The object of education is to bring out the best and highest powers in those being educated. So do we, in our education, even attempt to bring out the best and highest powers of the spirit as we seek to develop those of the body and the mind? Transformative learning happens when both the teacher and the students are transformed by the holistic and transpersonal learning experience. So thank you so much for listening.